Cool.
So, what I did with Travis McNutt was asked him what he had for breakfast, but I won't do that to you.
I'll probably say I can't remember. Oh, I eat the same thing every day. So.
All right, welcome to this episode of the Auto Detailing Podcast. I'm super excited to have Adam Cote. Hopefully, I didn't butcher your last name. I think that's how I've had other people say it. But Adam, welcome to the show.
Cool. Thanks, Jimbo.
And I'm super excited because, as I was just telling you a couple minutes ago, I thought, it seems like I really want to dive into your journey and make this a podcast that's as relatable as possible. And I think you'll do a good job at that. But it seems like you started as a mobile detailer and you have a very successful shop now. So why don't you take us way back to the beginning and tell us kind of how you started or where you started and how it all started.
Sure. So, I mean, to take you way back, I grew up in Connecticut, and I was kind of had a dream of being a professional athlete or a rock and roll star or one of those awesome things. But beyond that, I also just kind of always wanted to own my own business. I used to joke with my mom when she said, you have to go to college. I always said, well, I'm gonna own my own Subway, and I just loved Subway back then. And
love Subway.
that was my thought of like, well, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. But so I found my way out to California just, via my sister. And, when I got here, I got a job that followed my my collegiate training, I guess, doing basically page layout and marketing stuff.
Okay.
And I just very quickly, I mean, like within the first 4 hours, started to think, oh my God, there's no way I can live the rest of my life like this, trapped behind a desk. I need to be doing something or own my own business. So the place I worked was also a law firm. And so they had these legal pads, and I just started taking notes every day of like, how can I start my own business on a shoestring budget at 23 years old? And at that time in Southern California, I mean, that was, well, let's say 2002, maybe 2000. And the mobile detailing thing was just starting to happen. It like literally didn't exist. And then it became very popular. And like, I just thought, well, I could do that. And the story actually was, in my list, I had, 10, 20, 50 ideas, but I'm at my doctor's office, and the doctor, who was kind of a jerk, said to the front desk girl, like, oh, my detailer didn't show up again. And I just stood up, and it was a Wednesday, and I said, I own a mobile detailing company, which was a total lie. And he said, great, when can you start? And I said, next Wednesday. And the next day I went to my boss and I told him, I have to take every Wednesday off from now on. Otherwise I can't work here anymore. And he agreed to it.
Wow.
So, which was awesome. It was so helpful to me in my life journey. And that next Wednesday I went and I washed his Porsche.
Did you have any equipment at that point, or how?
No, on that Wednesday I had no equipment.
Okay.
So that Saturday, I basically went to, in Southern California, you guys might remember Tomahawk, which was like a product supply place. And I just bought everything. And I went to Sears and I bought a generator, and I went and bought a trailer. Yep. And Sunday I drilled it all down, and at night I screwed it together. And
oh, wow.
And then that next Wednesday I went and washed the guy's Porsche, and then I went and knocked on every door and said, I'm the new mobile detailer of your complex. And I paid $105 that day, and I felt like God.
Yep. Yep. I had a similar feeling of, I worked at a restaurant, but I had that same thought of like, I always wanted to own my own business. I didn't know what it was, and then I was cleaning my own car, and then finally one day I was like, I wonder if I can make this my own business. And I did a manager at the restaurant I worked at, and I made $80 my first day. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so rich right now. This is amazing. So I know that exact feeling of like, oh my gosh, like that epiphany, when you finally hit it,
Yeah.
It's a great feeling.
The funny thing too was, in my hometown, we had this little like, local phone book, and in that phone book, the companies that were a number would be at the front. So whether you were 1, 2, 10, whatever, you're at the front of the phone book.
Right.
So I thought, I just want my business to be a number, and that's the only criteria. And then so I went to like Barnes and Noble or whatever at that time, and I bought a book about, like, I don't even know how I thought that they would have this, but they did. They had a book that was how to run an auto detailing business.
Yeah, it was by like a startup or something like that.
I don't know, something like that. I still have it.
Yeah,
I
think I have that same one. Yeah.
It's got the big orbital on the
Yep.
front.
Yep.
But, and the first page, this shows my aptitude for reading. The first page said, "What are the 5 essential steps of auto detailing?" And it was cleaning, washing, polishing, protecting, maintaining. And so I started a business called 5 Point Auto Detail.
Got it. Well, it's that's actually more creative than Jimbo's auto detailing. So at least you it's like, but you do see that, right? It's like A1 plumbing or AAA plumbing or, not 1 star, that would be bad, but like, one plumbing company or one USA or whatever. So I like that. That's pretty cool. And did it work out good in the beginning?
The irony of that was that in San Diego, which had a yellow pages that was this thick, it was by A. So the next year I changed my business to A 5 Point Mobile Auto Detail.
Okay.
This totally dates me. I'm 40, but literally in 2002 or whatever it was, people weren't using the internet to search for services. They were using the yellow pages. Mm-hmm. So I became an A company. And then when the internet became popular, I removed the A.
At least changing with the times, right?
Exactly.
So how long did you stay mobile for then? And was it just obviously just you starting out on that Wednesday, and then how did it progress from there?
So yeah, it was every Wednesday, and then I was doing every Saturday too. And then when that kind of became too much,
right?
I told the boss, kind of the same story, like, I can't work here anymore. I need to take another day off a week. And he again just showed me absolute kindness and said, well, you can be a contractor. Just here's your chores, and you come in whenever you can.
Wow.
So he really helped me. But yeah, so I did the first year or two by myself, and I do have a marketing background, so that just really helped me launch it. But I'm tenacious too, so beyond my education, which if any of you guys are college, graduates, you'll know that like the stuff you learn is more lessons than actually like facts that you use in your business. And so, I just was hitting it hard, everything from putting flyers on cars to yellow pages to advertising on Craigslist. So officially the business on paper launched in March 2003.
Okay.
And from 2003 to 2009, it was strictly mobile. I got up to 3 vehicles on the road. And at one point it was 1 at my house, 1 at a friend's house, and 1 in a garage I rented. And they were like all 5 miles away from each other.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy.
I got to ask, just today you posted, and I don't know enough of your past yet, so I didn't quite get it, but you posted a picture. It looked like your car in a parking structure or something like that. Was that one of your spots that you used to set up at or something like that? That's kind of what I figured, but I wasn't. And if there's a bad story to it that you don't want to tell, we could just gloss over it. But
it's a great story in the evolution of business and like taking chances.
Yeah.
So, I was out one night with some friends, and we were running a pretty successful mobile detailing business, and Yelp had already kind of started to happen. We were the top dog in San Diego for that. And I was just out with some friends, and I was with my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, but she wasn't there, and I'm with some friends, and, some of them were single, and they wanted to talk to this group of girls. And so I sat down, and let's just say I was being a good friend and talking to one that the others maybe didn't want to talk to.
Nice dance. Yeah.
In that conversation, she said, well, what do you do? And I told her, and she was like, hey, I'm the leasing manager for Westfield Malls. Wow. And I have a facility that, the people that are there, I don't like them, and I need to get rid of them, and I'd love for you to take it. But you have to let me know, like, by this Friday or, 48 hours. It was like, got to let me know now. And so at that time, like I said, I had 3 trucks, and I had like 4 or 5 employees. But like a lot of mobile guys, it was a lot of under the table, being cash. And so my real education for owning a business wasn't there. And this required me to really jump in. And I said yes. And that was just basically a parking structure of a lower tiered mall in San Diego. But,
It looked grimy in that picture today. I'm sure it's changed since then. I think all malls have, but it looked grimy.
I mean, it was grimy there. I mean, it was bad. Like
Right.
literally, the pipes there. Like you'd just be walking in that parking garage and you'd feel a wet drip on you, and that was a sewer pipe, and you're just like, I
Nice.
just basically got crapped on.
Yeah,
You know?
literally.
Yeah.
By a human though, not a bird.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But back then, you know, the biggest game changer when I was in there was running into Opticote and Dan Williams.
Okay.
Just another like evolution. I mean, that guy really helped me, introduced me to coatings, and like.
How did you guys meet? Just because he was mobile, you were mobile, and kind of running around the same area?
San Diego, we
Got it.
met. It's like cleaning cars next to each other, and
Yep.
you know, for those of you who know Dan, like Dan's just real excitable, and he was like,
Yep.
man, you gotta try this, and I was like, oh, it's garbage, whatever.
Right.
But
What year was that then?
that was probably 2009.
Got it. Okay.
Or 2008,
Got
right
it.
around that time.
Isn't that cool though? I swear, like I feel like the detailing industry a lot of time, or at least in the Facebook groups and forums, we see like guys battling each other so much. But I know it sounds like you and Dan, and then I know local to me, like when I see another detailer, like the best thing I could do is go befriend him and try to become a resource to each other, you know?
Yeah.
And it sounds like maybe that's, I don't know if it was a pivotal part in your career, but maybe that's what has led you to where you're at now with Ceramic Pro, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, when it comes to local detailers, I mean, I'm sure my name's been dragged through the mud here because like I said, I'm tenacious, I'm aggressive, but I've never been unkind to a detailer. I've never talked bad about anybody. I think that there's just so many cars and just so much trust to all have. And I mean, my relationship with Dan, we're in every single way a competitor now, but I think he still likes me. I really like him.
Right. Before we go to the next part, because there's a lot of guys that listen to the show that write in that are kind of where you were, right? They're working a full-time gig. They either are really passionate about cars or passionate about entrepreneurship, and they think car detailing is kind of the way out. What were some things that you did to drum up more work? You said you're tenacious and willing to do everything, and I think that's a big part of it, that people, you know, sit on their couch and wait for the work to come to them and don't go for it, right? But is there any like thing that stands out in your mind that really helped, that you implemented or did that really helped get more clients? Or was it just being out there?
No, I'm my business and the level of success that we've achieved is really different than what most people do. Like I love cars. I love going to car shows. I love events. We do really well with some clubs in town, but for the most part, I've just been an internet monster from the beginning.
Okay.
So from the very beginning, you know, I was building my own pages on Dreamweaver, and then I felt Dreamweaver wasn't as good at SEO, so I started building them on the iWeb on my Mac because I figured out the trick for SEO on there. And way back in the day on Craigslist, on the bottom of the page, I would type in auto detailing San Diego, you know, in white, so you couldn't read it, and those Craigslist ads would show up.
Yep.
So I just always try to stay ahead of the pack with digital marketing. And
Got
that's
it.
What we do now, and I think you see that with Ceramic Pro now too, as a corporate company that we're not at every event, but we're everywhere.
Right. Yeah, that's huge. Creating that omnipresence, right? And being where people are going, right? They used to go to the phone book. That's why it was, you know, crazy big, and now it's the internet. So you would you tell people to hire someone to do that, or try to do it as much as they could on their own, or just in any way be a guerrilla on the internet? Just because it's, like I tell people, it's free to post an ad on Craigslist, isn't it, to promote your services? So it's not always like, you know, not that you mentioned this, but it's not always like $10,000 in AdWords that you have to run, you know, every month to see a return, you know?
I think when it comes to internet marketing, so much of it depends on your market, right? So years ago here in San Diego, I was absolutely destroying the entire market for $300 a month of monthly spending,
right?
Just because nobody was doing it. And now I'm seeing the people encroach in my space, so I double it. And then if people encroach in my space again, I double that again.
Right.
And it's my mission to basically just eviscerate our competition online and make it impossible for them to step into my space. And that's always been the strategy. And, of course, doing quality work as well.
Sure, that helps. So when did you decide to step up and get a shop? What was your first shop like? What were your emotions and feelings going mobile to a shop? What was that like?
Yeah, so that's a really amazing part of my story that I share a lot. We do a lot of trainings here now in San Diego.
And take your time, tell us everything. As much as you want to share. I'm intrigued. So I know everyone else. We have everyone's ears, and eyes. I guess we're doing a video, but don't.
Thank you.
Elaborate.
Well, so at that time we were in that mall location, and we were doing a lot of OptiCote, and so I kind of felt that the tide's changing. That hey, we're able to do these $500, $600, $700 tickets that before was just, it didn't exist.
Right.
But there was also starting to have the beginning of the dip of the economy was coming. And at the same time that the economy was going down, there was the California minimum wage they started to announce was going to go up. And so I started to sit down and think I'm in trouble. I'm in a dinosaur business where gas prices are at $5 a gallon, which means the gallon of compound that I used to buy for $39 is now $99 because they're charging me for the shipping, the petroleums in the product and everything. And I was doing twice as much revenue, but feeling like I was making half as much money. I wasn't even sustaining what I was making the year before. So I started to think, what am I going to do? And unfortunately, like so many of us do, I started to search for more accounts, the regular accounts, so like weekly customers. We took on a dealership, and essentially I was just running myself to death, to the point where I literally on my mornings into work would want to drive into a pole because I felt like I was on a hamster wheel that would never end. I share this story a lot that it was really the change, the genesis of how everything began to change, where I had this dealership account, and the dealership was like a mile and a half away from our shop. And in order to get the cars, it's kind of a long story, but we were in competition with this other company. And so what started out as you had to get all of the keys and all the cars off the lot by 10 a.m., then became 9 a.m., became 8 a.m., became 7, 6, and then 5 a.m. And our shop didn't open until 10. And the trouble was that some days there'd be one car and some days there'd be 10 cars. So it was all on me to get there at 4:45 in the morning.
Ouch.
And I would run the mile and a half to the shop on foot with headphones in. And then I would grab all the keys and I would drive one back and then run back and drive another. And the bad days is when I went there at 4:45 in the morning and there was nothing. And the good days is when there was 10 and I had to run 12 miles, which you wouldn't think that's a good day. But, that's where I was in my career. And
right. And you were doing what you had to do at the moment, right? You were that's what had to be done.
But, going broke doing it.
Right. Wow. And were you seeing a decline in clients come in? Like, was the recession starting to hit you, or were you worried that it was going to hit you, and so you kind of stepped it up a notch because you were worried that the dip was going to inevitably hit you?
So honestly, I really believe this is what it was, and I'm gonna play my cards here. Is that I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I remember right around this time seeing an episode of Bar Rescue 2 that had just started to come out.
Mm-hmm.
I was the guy who owned a business who didn't know how much it costed me to make a hamburger, I was selling hamburgers.
Got it.
And the trouble was that I was just basing pricing and paying my employees off of an idea of what I thought it should be, but I never really put any thought into it. And so we were doing a lot of services that were making me no money when I could have had 14 detailers at that time. I could have had 6 detailers, been doing half the work, and been bringing home the exact same amount of money. But my mindset at the time was more work, more happy customers, more revenue must mean that I'm getting ahead. But in actuality, because I was doing so many jobs without a profit, I was sinking because of how much we were selling. And I know that's kind of hard to wrap your head around, and it was impossible for me to wrap my head around at that time. But I was going out of business by selling more.
I get it. It makes sense, and that's 100% makes sense to me. I know it on the onset it doesn't seem like it makes sense, but I've thought about this a lot when trying to take on an employee. It's like really to take on one employee, you almost have to triple your revenue.
I think that's true.
You know, I think that's maybe not exactly triple, but like just to have that like frame of reference of like that's how much more work you really need to bring in, or you know maybe dollar wise, I guess. At least that's
Yeah.
what I think. I don't know.
I definitely like now a lot of my focus in my day is on training not employees, but on detailers, ceramic pro installers.
Got it.
This is one of the things I go over with them is that unfortunately, there's two ways to start a business, and that's one is with money and one is with sweat.
Right.
And
Yep.
and if you're building it with sweat, you may have gotten to the point now where you're able to eat lobster on the weekends, but if you really want to grow your business, you're going to have to go back to eating ramen noodles so that the employee can eat steak, so he'll stay.
Right.
But yeah, so at that stage, I just started to say to myself, like, this is it. I'm at the end of this, and like, even though people think we're big and we have a great Yelp rating, and we do a lot of revenue, I'm done. Like emotionally,
like I'm running 12 miles a day, and this is just not going to work.
Yeah, I'm going to die.
Right.
And fortunately, the detailing gods fell onto me, and at that time, Ceramic Pro was just literally landing in Southern California, and I think we were one of the first 5 people they visited. And
what year is this? Just curious. I don't know why my fascination with years.
So that's November 13.
Okay.
So October 13 actually is when they first showed up. And, we were really in love with OptiCoat. I thought it was the greatest thing, and not to bring them their name and now say that anything negative about them.
No, yeah. It's
really
part of your story.
I try hard not to do that. But at least at that time, when I was presented with Ceramic Pro, it was my feeling that wow, this product's just so much better. And also it was brand new. So I felt like I had an opportunity to be a part of it.
Right.
And, I just jumped in full steam ahead. And that brings me to where you were leading this. Was I said, I have to have a better shop.
Got it.
And so signed a lease and got a better shop.
Did you have a shop at all when you had the dealership account then?
That was just at that mall location.
So you were bringing all the dealership cars to the mall?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it was,
wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Okay, so then you decide Ceramic Pro comes in, you decide to go full board for that, and then now you're going to a, I guess, quote unquote, legit shop, like a roll up door, couple bays, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That. So it had 2 roll up doors, kind of 2 separate working areas. I mean, looking back on it now too, I mean, that place was a dump, but it was my dump.
Right.
And we did the best we could to really make that something. Fortunately, like the guy who owned it was just, unfortunately, but also fortunately, the guy who owned it was just the worst type of bottom of the barrel human being. And there was just so many issues with the place and so many lies, but we ended up being able to get out of it because it had some code violations. So we were really there for maybe a year, and it allowed me to quickly then upgrade again because we needed to upgrade again.
How big was that initial shop?
I can't remember now, but I'm going to say 2,500.
Got it.
Like that.
Okay. Pretty significant.
The usable space too was funky. So it might be we're in a 4,000 now with maybe 1,100 of it is office. The 3,000 or 2,900 of available space I have now is so usable.
Got it.
That's the way the roll-up doors were. Like we would have to, if we had 10 cars in there, we'd have to move 20 cars a day. Just to pull one out. It was one of those situations.
And you got, even at that initial shop, you got busy right away because of Ceramic Pro, or did you keep the dealership? Was it more convenient? Like what were you just more visible? What was it about getting the shop that you got? It seems like you got so busy right away.
Thing was like there's never a time where we weren't busy. but I just started to be more selective about our
Got it.
busyness.
Okay.
And I'll say again that busyness doesn't necessarily mean successful.
Got it. Good one.
But, you know, that first month when we were in that shop, we did 14 ceramic pro gold packages, and it was more just I started to analyze numbers. In that mall location, basically my office was a picnic table,
Right.
and like, there was a planter nearby that had like kind of large river rocks in it, and I sat down at that picnic table one day and I was like, I just said, number one, I'm never detailing a car again. That's it. That's the way my business is going to go. If it goes under because I don't detail a car, then that's how it'll be. And I've been talking a lot with one of my good friends who's kind of a protege right now. And he's been telling me about the guilt he feels by not working on the cars with his crew. And like, that was the hardest thing for me too. Just like, it's almost like we were an army, and now that the captain was basically saying, well, I'm going to stand in the back and make plans and you guys get in there and sweat, you know?
Right.
So it was a tough adjustment, but
yeah.
I made the decision and I just cut the cord. Like, I'll wipe a window, but I'm not putting on the gloves ever again, you know?
Got it. And did your clients, did you lose any clients because of that? Did they like that better? Were you able to like, have a better relationship with them because you could sit and talk with them for 20 minutes if they needed that time while your guys did the car or started on it or whatever? Did that actually help?
I think so.
Okay.
You know, I think that, again, if I just analyze the industry and what I went through and how I still see this repeating itself over and over again, for me at that time, I felt like, if I go way back, I felt like I was the only one who could run a high-speed polisher. I was the only one who could do an OptiCoat. Or I was the best at it. I was the only one who could answer the phone. I was the only one who could talk to the customers. I was the only one who could like do all these like high level things, right?
Right.
And then I let go of the high speed polisher. I let go of the OptiCoat, and I said, now I'm the only one who can work the phones, and I'm the only one who can talk to the customers. And the more I've let go of every step, the better my business has grown. Every time I let go of something and let somebody else do it and let them be good at it, the more the business.
So how do you, and if this is like if you have like a secret algorithm or something, that's totally fair game. But how do you find qualified people to fill those positions? Or how do you make them a qualified person if they aren't when they come in? Do you prefer to hire detailers? Do you prefer to hire young people, old people? They like cars, don't care about cars. Like, do you have a criteria for that? Is there no criteria? You just take whoever you can get? Like, how do you find these people?
So we just hired a new installer detailer here in San Diego, and he has experience. And I actually just hired a new manager, and the manager is eager to hire somebody with experience. And I told him the only criteria that we actually care about is that they have experience being on their feet for 8 hours a day and that they're eager to work. Other than that, I find that experience versus non-experience, it's a crapshoot. Sometimes somebody with experience works out, sometimes they don't. But most of my guys that work for me now have come in through some type of referral from somebody else who worked there, because it's a pretty nice place to work. We have benefits. The pay is always on time. It's pretty good. And, you know, most of them did not have experience.
Interesting. So then, sorry, that was kind of a little side note I just thought people would be interested in. Okay, so then you're in the new shop, which is the current shop you're still in, is when you moved from the dump, or have you moved again since then?
No, so we're in our current shop now for a little over 3 years.
Okay, cool.
And still there. We're renovating it right now. It's coming out really nice, but same place.
Awesome. Do you still do the dealership?
No, we have a hard, fast rule. No dealerships. The only dealership work we do is clear bra, and that's it. We don't even do a lot of that. So
have you expanded? So bring us. I guess now that's enough of the backstory and kind of caught us up to today. So what is your business like today? You know, what is your role, I guess, at your own company today, and what does that look like?
So today I consider myself an entrepreneur. So I own several businesses. But the company now is called 5 Point Auto Spa. It's 100% manager driven. I don't have an office there. And I do my best to help them grow, and I still put a lot of energy into that business, but it's about 20% of my work week.
Okay.
The other 80%, I own a distribution company called 5 Point Car Care, and we sell Ceramic Pro to installers throughout the country.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So that distribution company, that takes up 80% of your time, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about right.
Awesome.
About 80% of my time in the distribution business. We have, a team of salespeople here.
Okay.
And then the crew at the shop.
Nice. Very cool. And that is strictly mainly Ceramic Pro and maybe Americana Global stuff, or all different companies, or?
I mean, primarily, 90% of the sales of this business is Ceramic Pro driven.
Got it.
We generally really sell to Ceramic Pro installers. And then, we sell Americana pads, compounds, polishes. We also sell Menzerna. I sell different, basically, to be honest, what we sell here at 5 Point Car Care is we sell the methodology and the products that 5 Point Auto Spa does.
Got it.
Whatever we use in that shop, we sell here, from pads, towels, products. And the crazy thing is, it's just not that many things. Like when we do offer trainings, I always go, well, you're going to laugh because, we got 4 compounds and
right.
1, 2, 3 pads, 2 different types of towels, and this is our system. It's pretty simple.
Would you say that helps with, when you're training someone, to have a simplified system in place so that it's not a lot of us detailers like to try a lot of different products, have a lot of different products. I was joking with, actually, he's probably listening to this, Steven Erickson. I think he's coming down to your shop in June or July for Ceramic Pro training. Anyway, he loves having a ton of products, right? He told me I would faint if I saw how many products he has. Because I'm like you, I run very slim on my products, right? Not because I'm cheap. It's it works for what I need it to work. I don't need 400 different products, But where was I going with that? I just laugh at him because he tells me what he uses, and I'm like, dude, one day I'll convert you to not have so many freaking just car wash soaps. You don't need 15 soaps, man. I promise. But does that help? Does that help when you're training or bringing someone new in to lessen their errors? I guess if they only have 1 or 2 compounds to choose from, you can expect the same result and the same process to happen.
Sure. And I'm not going to say that we don't run into a brick wall sometimes, and then you have to kind of figure something out and troubleshoot it. But my goal now with 5 Point Auto Spa, the detail shop, is I'm building what we call a franchise model. So
okay.
any of you E-Myth disciples out there, that's a book, and everybody should check it out, or the audio book. And the idea behind that is that it's a story about the technician turned entrepreneur, which is what I am, and I have to struggle against my own desire to put out a perfect outcome, to work on a car for 8 hours when it should be 4. And I think so many of us do that, but by putting in, if I rewind a little bit to what I was saying about putting somebody else into a job, and I can then say to them, this is how I want it done, and this is the steps how I want it done, and I'm relying on you to implement it. And if you have a problem with that, come to me with the problem and we'll figure out a solution. But for the most part, we're going to be a system-based company, and our results will come out within 1 or 2 grades of each other every time.
Right.
And it used to be 10 years ago that I felt you kind of did need 6 compounds because the way the technology in them worked, one that was slightly more refined than another would produce a totally different job. But the way they are now, if we're just talking compounds, I think that all of the good ones are pretty damn good.
Right.
And you can achieve really excellent results with any of those.
Mm-hmm.
So.
What this is just kind of a curious question I have. Have there been many differences starting the distribution business versus a detail business, or are the the key business principles, like underlying principles, stay the same regardless of what type of business it is? Or are there, obviously there's going to be different challenges and stuff like that, but like are you tackling that distribution business from a digital marketing standpoint the same way you did the detailing business? Or is that different?
Yeah, it is different. Because I think detailing like is business to consumer, right? So, I mean,
okay.
how do you search for a service? Most people go to their phone and search Google or Yelp or whatever it is.
Right.
As here with the distribution business, it's business to business. And we're fortunate the way Ceramic Pro has been over the last couple of years where like, I mean, people want it. And so, sometimes we have a hard enough time just keeping up with the people who are searching us out.
Got it.
On the other hand, I'm not going to say we're not aggressive. We're always implementing a new strategy to find people. But I think the fundamental thing here is, and one of my big like teaching moments, I guess, what I do with my installers throughout the country is how you perceive yourself. And probably the first 5 minutes of the instructional day that I do is I perceive myself in all of my businesses in one singular way, and that we're a marketing company. And so,
got it.
So it's the cheeseburger, for instance, is just a byproduct of trying to attract the customer.
100%.
In this case, the detailing, the work. If you charge somebody $1,000 to detail their car, you're going to go out of business quickly if the work's not good. But you're also going to go out of business faster if nobody comes in to even try it. And so we focus marketing, sales, service.
Preaching, man. I tell detailers all the time, go get all the training you want, right? You should know how to do everything, every part of the business. But my problem is that if you don't know how to get a customer to do all those things that you just learned how to do on a customer car, what's the point? Right?
Precisely.
It's like you got to learn how to get the customer,
Yeah, I saw years ago, like, it was poignant that somebody on like Detailer Buddies or something like that said, what should I buy first? And everybody was like a steamer or a Europas or whatever.
Right.
And then somebody wrote a business license and insurance. And like, and it's kind of funny, but it's true that so many people build the foundation of their skyrise on sand because they're too eager to get up here instead of learning how to run their business first.
And I feel like, going through, because I can relate to some of those, growing pains you had when you had a bunch of trucks and stuff like that. And I look back, I used to do a lot of office building work and fleet work and stuff like that. And it sucks. That work is very difficult, but I feel like if you don't go through some of those hard times and you don't kind of cut your teeth on that more difficult work, that really grueling work, it doesn't make it, when you get to the next level or you get to where you're at, it doesn't make that level as sweet if you didn't know how hard it was to get there, And I always think I'm willing to go back. Like if crap hit the fan, like I know I can go pick up 15 office buildings if I had to. I don't want to at all. I'm with you. I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm done. But like, if you had to, you would go back if you had to. You probably don't want to, but
I mean, I'm smarter now that I wouldn't, but I'm the type who can keep climbing a mountain. Just keep putting more stuff on my head and I'll keep climbing.
Right.
But I don't think I would go back to.
But you could.
I could.
You could if you had to. I get it. You don't want to, and you're not going to. Obviously, like you said, you're too smart. You know too many tactics. You can maneuver around it. But I think if more guys had a mentality of like knowing how hard it is and knowing that they potentially could go back there, it would help with the egos a little bit. Maybe that's my theory. I don't know.
Well, I think you're definitely right for the detailer who starts their business on a shoestring budget. Mm-hmm. One of the things I'm worried about, though, for the little guys right now, is the way the business is turning. And I can tell you from a distribution business, the type of people who are contacting us now are people who see an opportunity. And so detailing before was a way to avoid having their old job,
right.
A a way to stop working as a detailer for somebody else. A gypsy lifestyle.
Right.
It's like the gypsy,
Yep.
kind of takes money from here, this bill, gets it, pays that, and like they're never getting ahead.
Right.
What the coating industry has done, and what I think, we in this office have really done is like kind of cut out that friction of like the difficult times to get to the point where you can make money.
Right.
And what I worry about for the little guys right now is that they're not going fast enough because there's so much money to be made that bigger guys are coming in and they have pockets and they're willing to open a facility and spend a bunch of money on it. And that's Ceramic Pro or G-Technic or whatever. Again, I'll say all the products are good.
Right.
There's money to be made off of all of them. And so,
yeah, that's a really good observation. And what's funny is I obviously know you're with Ceramic Pro, but I've been seeing the money being dumped into G-Technic, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Or Ceramic Pro too. You see a Ceramic Pro video, it's like got multiple million views, and I'm like, wow. Like, yeah, a lot of that could be organic, but I'm sure a lot of that was paid too, and it's like there's some serious money floating around in here. It
is. It's an amazing time. It's the wild, wild west.
So with that, then, what do you suggest? You mentioned, moving fast, and I'm a huge fan of like moving fast, right? But what do you suggest for that detailer listening to this right now, saying, when he heard you say that, he went, "Oh crap! Like I need to move faster." What do you suggest? Is it joining the Ceramic Pro team? What is it that detailer, him or her, I guess, need to do to take advantage of it being the wild, wild west, right? And really solidifying themselves as, an expert in either their local area or globally or domestically or whatever.
Well, so I want to avoid this me being a sales pitch for Ceramic Pro, but
right.
I'll of course say that I think that product and the marketing efforts and the budget that we put into it, I'll use the term friction again. It reduces the friction between you and your customer.
Okay.
So your customer is saying, well, how could this be worth $1,500? But there's so much evidence online of people that are happy about it. It makes it much easier to do that. Plus, I also think that, I've been through it and I kind of just share my story in like a locked area, videos and training tools and spreadsheets, and all of those things are available. And we see people, and I kind of alluded to this to you over the phone before we did this, that we see people that were in trouble and have become very successful, almost to the point where my business is using what we do that didn't take them 7 years like it did for me, because they're kind of given the answers.
Right.
But beyond Ceramic Pro, and if I was to really just guide somebody, I would say is that you have to invest in an asset that makes you money, right? And so there's so much of the mindset that if I get the best steamer in the world, or if I invest in a better polisher, that I'll reduce my working time down, right? But these are depreciating assets because they break and they get older. That I think that investing in marketing and investing in ability to train other people to do the stuff that you do now, that's an asset that continues to grow and will make you money. And I'm not saying that a steamer doesn't earn you money, but it's not in the same way. It doesn't tell you in the same way that a very good marketing plan does. And as another cautionary piece of advice is there's a lot of predators out there. So go online, or people that I can get you on the first page of Google. I mean, they're thieves, a lot of them, but there are good ones too.
So how do you find, is it going through channels? Excuse me. Is it going through channels of people that you know, like, and trust already? So I think this is kind of where, well, I won't go there. Is it like, how do you find these people, right? I was going to try to come up with a really clever way to say that, and then I just blew it. But like, is it listening to a podcast, watching someone on YouTube? Is it following Adam Cote and you've been following Adam Cote for a year or two, and you realize he's a trustworthy guy and honest, and so you hit him up to, see who his marketing guy is? Or is it like the logo thing we talked about where, you just randomly, stumble across someone? Like, how do you make sure that you don't get, sharked by one of these people that are just, money hungry and take your money? Because I've been burned with SEO before, and luckily it wasn't that much, but they are out there. So how do you avoid that?
So I don't know that there's an absolute answer, right? So it's like a love life, like the perfect woman for you who's just honest and wholesome and good. Like, I just might not get along with her or feel the desire to marry her. And it's kind of that way with marketing people. Like, if you find somebody good and you gel and you can work together, you have to understand that, like, kind of like a love life or a marriage, that like it goes through cycles, right? And as you take on new hobbies and stuff together, you find that some things work and some things don't. And what I've found with marketing people, and the guy who does my marketing started as my marketing guy for 5 Point, and then he became the marketing guy for Ceramic Pro, and now he does 5 Point and Ceramic Pro kind of together but kind of separately. And what's so amazing about him now is that he doesn't have any more questions about, well, what's a RID or how does a comp work? He just knows it. But that's taken 7 years of it. And I can communicate something to him now of where I want to go, and he already understands all of it. So not only is he excellent at marketing, but he also is very knowledgeable about what we do. So, if you pay somebody $500 tomorrow, I don't know that you can necessarily expect that you're going to get 1,000 out of it. It might take some time.
Right.
But, there's going to be unscrupulous people in every industry. And, I think if you come on the Ceramic Pro team, one of the things that we've done is if you actually look through the Ceramic Pro lifespan, we've done it all from flying to Hong Kong, doing videos there, spending $30,000 on productions, to filming a shoe being dipped in a bucket of coffee with my iPhone.
Right.
And some of them work and some of them don't. So, the key is to just keep trying.
Keep trying. Yeah. Yep. I love that. What else? Is there anything that we haven't hit on that you made sure you wanted to cover? Do you think we kind of nailed everything? Is there something burning inside that you want to get out? What is there anything like that? Sure.
If I was like to say something to close, I listened to Billy's podcast, I don't know, a month or two ago, and I just I really resonated with what he was saying about like giving back and stuff like that. And like, certainly we run completely different businesses, and I can't claim to be doing it in the same way as him, but I think where I'm at now with this career in the industry is just that the thing that gives me the most pleasure is that like I'm able to share so much with people and try to help them grow. And it's just so fun watching the industry elevate and seeing people like myself that had a dream that can now make $1,000 in a day. And we should all just be so happy that we're in that situation. And I know what I'm doing is that I'm freaking grinding it, chasing it. But at the same time, too, and I'll give Rennie Doyle credit again, I love what he says about, making sure to take time for your family. And I'm really careful about that, too. So, but, I just really appreciate those who have listened and especially my customers out there, both on the service side and on the coding side, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, man. I mean, this has been incredible, and I think you're just spot on. And I was talking to someone, I forget who it was. I think it was today, but I'm like, man, I just feel like, I don't know if it's that feeling like you had when you switched from Opticoat to Ceramic Pro, but like that feeling that you get inside, it's like kind of excitement and it's kind of nerves, but you just feel like you're really onto something. And I feel like the industry as a whole is like right at this like precipice of like you said, there's a lot of money being infiltrated into it because people are, it's not the gypsy thing anymore, or not becoming that as much anymore, you know. And it's like, man, like this little detailing industry thing, this little tiny baby's like growing up and becoming an adult and like really becoming something that, like you said, you can make a serious, you know, you can make a serious living doing, you know, a great living, you know. So
and support, you know, all these detailers beneath me. I mean, I have 16 employees or something like that.
mm-hmm.
And you know, I watch Tor Body's growth, and like
Mm-hmm.
he and I talk a lot. And again, we're competitors,
Right.
but
Yep.
you know, we talk a lot and we share ideas. And you know, I just know that like he's really taking care of his employees, and it makes me strive to be like, well, I want to make sure my employees get those same benefits, and
mm-hmm.
you know, to see that we can kind of grow our businesses and take care of our employees and pay them this much. It's like, you know, my new manager just bought himself a motorcycle, and I'm like, it's like, that's really awesome.
Right. You're like, I bought you that motorcycle. Nice.
He bought himself the
He
motorcycle.
bought himself the motorcycle. Right.
Delivered a road for him to do it.
Right. Right. Exactly. Adam, I really, really appreciate your time. If people want to find you on Instagram or wherever, follow you, how can they do so?
So I'm on Instagram, Ceramic Pro Adam. 5 Point Auto Spa is our business, and you know, obviously anything Ceramic Pro related, I'm kind of hanging in there somewhere too.
Awesome.